course. So welcome back to the first case for this week of Fail on Friday. In this case, we're going to be discussing World War II, pretty much. Not all World War II, but we're going to be discussing a case that took during World War II. And so, of course, if you're like a history buff and you kind of want to know like a history perspective of a murder case, I got you. Here it is. We'll have some more, probably. Who's to say? Anyway, with that being said, let's go get started.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
So start with our killer, always. Ilse Koch was born on September 22nd, 1906 in Germany. She was said to have had a happy childhood and even went to go basically apply to be an accountant at 15. And at some point she was also a bookkeeping clerk and even worked at a tobacco store because apparently she had like a modest family. And so like that was pretty much the jobs that she could like get at the time, if that makes sense. So then in 1932, obviously, we got the Nazi party going on. She joins that. She meets her future husband, Karl Otto Koch, in 1934. She has to be tested. I don't even think tested. I think basically like have paperwork proving that 5 generations of pure blood, which that to them during that time, because during Nazi time, is Iranian blood. So back to like, I don't know if that would have been back to it said she was able to prove it back to 1750. So basically she was able to prove it. So she was able to marry Karl because apparently this was a requirement before you could even marry an officer, like an SS officer, because that's what Karl was. And she had to take a test for fertility because if you're pure blood but you can't produce no offspring, this is gonna sound really mean, but to them you were pretty much useless if you especially back in those days because kids were like pretty much expected of you after you get married. That was to be expected, of course. And so in 1936 they wound up getting married. They get married in like this really weird field, like not even a traditional venue, but it's like specifically for like Nazis and shit. So during this time she's working as a guard while her husband is a commandant in Nazi Germany. The next year they moved to Buchenwald in East Germany. During this time she is stealing from the prisoners and embezzling. Like, you're supposed to submit whatever gold or any valuables they have like to the Nazi party, I assume, but and not just her, like other people were doing it too, but she did it so much to where she sold $62,500 from them, which around today's standards with inflation, that's about $1 million. She used this money to build a basically place where she could like run her horses around each morning. So basically like a little horse arena I think she had like multiple horses from what I've seen. And then that cost about $250,000, so $250,000 to build, and at least 30 workers died from accidents or taking their own life because they were like, this shit ain't it. So of course, they even built their home like right outside the camp, so I guess within eye view of the prisoners, so they can see like what the hell's going on. Of course, with any significant person there probably were some good people that were there that like didn't want to do it, of course, because I feel like there's a good person in every bad bunch, but Elsie is obviously not one of them, hence why she's even being mentioned on this channel. She obviously like beat, whipped, and tortured prisoners, as many of them did. Not really surprised there. But what makes it surprise me, at least, was she would have orgies with her husband and the commanders and their wives. But of course, we gotta keep this shit secret because this is like the early to mid 1940s. So obviously, back then that wouldn't have flown because it's like. So then a common punishment that apparently she liked doing was having prisoners sent to a cage where there were 2 Himalayan bears and then basically like watch as the 2 bears obviously killed the man. And it even said that she hung a baby that had been killed by these bears like upside down to like basically show like this could happen to you because I did it to a child, so who said I ain't gonna do it to an adult, basically to make the prisoners behave. She would have a band that would play for her anytime that she like left the camp. Anytime she left the camp there was like a full ass band. Yes, the prisoners were the damn band playing for her, and if a prisoner didn't greet her, she took offense to it. She reported it and they were to be killed. So you're thinking, okay, well if I do, will I not get killed? No, bitch, if you It changed each day. Like, so if you did agree her, she somehow took offense to that too, and you still got killed. So then, of course, obviously, this woman is going to participate in the skinning and murdering of prisoners. She would ride around her horse because this woman loves her damn horse. Okay, she rides around the horse. She looks for a tattoo she likes. She writes down your number because remember, these prisoners all like have we ain't going by your name. You getting a number. So she writes down your number. And if you're the person with that number, sadly you were pulled in. You were never seen alive again. And we gonna skin. Well, okay, we skin you of your tattoo while you were still alive, and then we kill you, because then we have no other use for you. But we gotta dispose of the body for like obvious reasons. But the prisoners like knew like what the hell was going on. So if you didn't, and then like okay, but what about the people that didn't have a tattoo, or she couldn't find someone who had a tattoo that she liked? That's probably what you're thinking. Well, she would have prisoners have some have a prisoner that was an artist because apparently they really liked the artist there. She would have him draw a tattoo on some random ass person, but it'd be something that she liked because she knows this person's about to get killed later. Waits till the tattoo's like completely done and kills them for the tattoo that they just had done on them involuntarily. And so these tattoos were apparently said to have been gloves, tablecloths, and lampshades. And apparently there are photos of this. Very few, because spoiler alert, they did try to destroy this evidence for like obvious reasons. But there's evidence of it. So there you go. There's a bag that she would carry around that she really liked for some weird reason. There's nothing wrong with liking a bag, but when it's made out of human skin, that's where we got problems. And she would say that it was made out of human skin. Now, I have not seen this purse, so I can't say for sure, but there are photos definitely of human skin. She would obviously laugh when people were sent to the gas chamber, because eventually it does get to that point where people are going to be sent to this damn gas chamber. And the hardest she would laugh at children, like, she would laugh the hardest at children being sent to the gas chamber, even though she had children of her own. And so she even had shrunken heads, skulls, and organs in her home. That was confirmed because there are definitely photos of that. So then, despite her having children of her own, because she has like 4 children that we know of, she, for some reason, weirdly hates pregnant women, and she decides to take her anger on them by attaching little razors to a whip and then just whipping them with these razors, obviously inflicting harm on them and their unborn child. So then there's one random ass day she finds this prisoner she thinks is attractive. Apparently they were all naked out in the field one morning and she saw he looked good, even though he, as you imagine, these Holocaust victims do not look their best. They look like they are living skeletons, which a lot of them pretty much were. But I guess this one didn't look as bad, so then she thought he was kind of cute. So she went and had the guards like, hey, this specific person, I need you to force feed him because this man cannot die. He too cute. So then a week later, and I'm assuming during this week he is being fed good food, make sure he's staying fit, I guess. So they sent him into this little private room with Elsie. I don't even care how I'm pronouncing her name at this point. They sent him into the room with her. She's wearing lingerie, champagne bottles. She's trying to seduce him because she think he's cute. He has enough common sense. He's like, hell no. And she gets mad and she has him killed. And then he's basically like shot dead by one of the guards. So she would walk around half naked, like intentionally wearing revealing blouses, wearing these short ass skirts, riding around this damn horse. Because remember, you gotta include the damn horse in this. Get these males' attention. They ain't had sex in a while. They're obviously sex starved. And at least the straight ones. Because remember, there were homosexual males here. No shame to them, of course. But the straight men, they're obviously going to be like looking at her because it's like, she's a woman. It's especially like the teenage boys because like they can't help it. And if she could even tell they were getting aroused, she wrote down their number. You already know the procedure. Write down number, report to her husband. Her husband reports to this random ass soldier, I think. And then, of course, has them killed. There were times she even made the prisoners fight each other for her entertainment. There were times where she would make the men do sexual acts on each other. And there were even other times, sadly, where she would make the men rape the women, which I don't know how that works. I guess, like, threaten both of them with their lives if they didn't. I'm assuming all this happened, like, after 1940, but I should mention, remember, I said she had 4 kids. In 1940, she had this daughter named Guntran, and then she died, like, the following year from pneumonia. Y'all know what it is, like, I don't think I'm pronouncing it right, but, like, pneumonia. Yeah, I think I think, yeah, it's closer. They weren't even home when she died. They got a call saying that she died, which I imagine would have been devastating. But you know, these people didn't give a shit. Even though that was their own daughter, they was out doing something, and they was like, okay, and then they just went on with their day like their child didn't just die. So yeah, that happened. So of course now she got 3 surviving kids. On August 24th, 1943, both Carl and Ilse got arrested for charges of embezzlement and murder. Murder for obvious reasons, but embezzlement, I mean, well, you steal like $62,000. I think even back then that could be proved. And Carl actually apparently has syphilis, and then he got treated for the syphilis, but the 2 doctors that treated for the syphilis, he had them killed, so that way it did not publicly get out that he had the shit. And Elsie never had it, but he had it. So obviously he's cheating. Because, like, how the fuck does she not have it, but you do, but y'all are married? And not only that, it is said that he had gay lovers. Didn't see if that was confirmed, but apparently they were saying, hey, you got the syphilis from doing a nasty with another man, basically. So then, of course, of Elsie, obviously, when she was asked, she claimed that the human skin was actually goat skin, regarding her part. She was acquitted on all charges due to somehow lack of evidence. Carl was, of course, sentenced to death. And her husband, Carl, was executed by firing squad on April 5th, 1945. So then, of course, after Carl is executed, she then took no time, move on. She starts having basically like all these sexual interactions with all these different random ass guards. And the owner of the place complained and said that she made the place a brothel. So you can imagine only how many men she had over there. Modern day, you would say she was a sex addict, but back then, apparently she's a nymphomaniac. So yeah. So then, of course, Elsa getting acquitted, even though there are surviving prisoners, luckily. They were like, nah, bitch, we was there. She did some shit. They made it well known publicly what she did. And they was like, bitch, we need a second trial. Because this ain't it. So they get a second trial. At the second trial, she says she's pregnant. And apparently, she says she's pregnant multiple times and even passes out multiple times. And they do a test on her. I don't know how the hell they did this test because this is the 1940s again. She's 8 months pregnant. Now, her husband has been since dead, so obviously he ain't the daddy. And she's been in isolation. And the only men that were with her during that time were American investigators. So, like, maybe the father is an American citizen. But most of them were Jewish. And remember, she hated Jews. So it's like, why would you sleep with a woman who hates your people? But it's also believed that the father could have been one of the soldiers, which is more likely because it's like, we kind of got the same morals, so it's like, you know. But yeah, to this day, the baby daddy still ain't known. And so others would say that the father was actually a prisoner that eventually died, whether he died in the camp or he died after being released, like later on in his life. But of course, ain't nobody came up and said, yeah, I had relations with this woman and conceived this child for obvious reasons. So I guess we ain't gonna know. So she winds up giving birth to her son named Uwe in October of 1947, I do believe. And then she is released in 1949 because apparently she was only sentenced to 4 years, but she is quickly rearrested. Her trial is the following year, so 1950, and it has over 250 witnesses. Because they are trying to make sure this bitch does not go out and live her life like she ain't did the atrocities she committed in this damn camp. So then, of course, at least 4 of the prisoners mentioned the tattoos, because, you know, like, that's what caught me with this case was the damn tattoos. And due to lack of evidence, those charges were dropped, but in mid-1951, she was charged and sentenced to life. So she got life, just not for the tattoos, but she got life for, like, the murders and shit. Apparently she did have 2 surviving daughters out of the 3, like 2 daughters and a son. They got married, went under different names, and if they're even still alive, they ain't claiming that, yeah, that was my mom, for obvious reasons. And then her son, in early 1967, he sadly took his own life after not being able to get over what his mother did. So, because it's not like the daughters, they can just go change their names and then just live their life. He has his mom's last name, so of course he's going to be associated with her, and he just couldn't live with what they did. So yeah. And then, so now he's dead. On September 1st, 1967, Elsie would basically take her own life in her prison cell by hanging. Her body, of course, is put in an unmarked, a unmarked grave in the same prison cemetery that she took her own life in. I cannot do otherwise. And so she left her note to her son, basically a suicide note saying, I can't do otherwise. Death is the only deliverance. And apparently he was trying to visit her And which it gets confusing because I could have sworn like this son had already took his own life earlier in the year, but apparently he was visiting his mom the day after she died, and then he had to find out while in line to visit her that she was deceased, like she was no longer here. And it's said that she believed that the prisoners that she had killed were haunting her and they were gonna get her, so she decided we're gonna take our own selves out so they don't take me. And so tests were done to see if it was human skin, apparently, and I don't know who the hell did this test, but apparently they said it was more likely to be cow skin than human skin. But there's some places there are some artifacts they have that definitely are human skin. Like that versus a cow. Now, and it is said that Ilse may actually have inspired Ed Gein. Who, of course, you know Ed Gein, he committed his crimes in 1954, so this was after Ilse. So while it is possible, I don't think it has been confirmed. And since both of them are deceased, we can't. Well, at least Elsie would definitely be deceased by now. But we can't ask Ed because I'm pretty sure he's deceased too. So in 2008, the actor Kate Winslet, who was Rose on Titanic, as you can imagine, which I know there's other roles that she's in other than Titanic, but everybody know her to be Rose in Titanic. So she's gonna be Rose in Titanic for this. So Kate Winslet basically plays a fictional character was believed to be based off Elsie in 2008, and the movie is called The Reader. Just thought I should mention that, since it is technically based off our killer, and maybe you should go watch it. Just a recommended movie to watch if you're more interested in her life, I guess. So then, yeah, that's all I have for this case. Of course, sources down below as always. I know it's a hot mess. This video is probably going to be easy, a good 20 minutes, who knows? Maybe less, hopefully. Anyway, I'll see you for the next one.